Savings goals keeping you up at night? Let a Regions banker help you build a Regions Green Print plan, a free financial roadmap personalized for what matters to you. Start building your financial confidence. Visit Regions.com to find a branch near you. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
Broadcasting from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio, inside the Gas South Convention Center in Duluth, Georgia. It's time for Gwinnett Business Radio. Gwinnett Business Radio is presented by Regions Bank. Start building your financial confidence at Regions Bank, member FDIC, an equal housing member.
And greetings and salutations, loyal listeners of Gwinnett Business Radio. It is your slightly annoying host, Stephen Julian, welcoming you to another hopefully award-winning edition of Gwinnett Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studios inside the beautiful Gas South District and Convention Center. 1 minute in, and I've already made two mistakes. So that means I need to bring in my trusty co-host to get the ship back on track. Harper LaBelle, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm wondering, when are you and I going to get the opportunity to be a part of the show to where we get to do the introduction instead of just Amanda?
Yeah, three in a row for Amanda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, I don't know. When's that going to happen? Because the smooth,
see, you got to be
sultry
somebody.
tones.
Remember when Steve Martin in the movie The Jerk I Am Somebody? We're not anybody yet.
Well,
you and I are just, our guests are somebodies.
Our guests are definitely somebodies. Beth Coffey is here with Southwest Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce. Ray Godleski is here with Southeast Wealth Partners, powered by Osaic Wealth. We're very excited to talk to both of them. Why don't we get into it?
I think we should.
I like it. Beth Coffey is here. She is the executive director of the Southwest Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce. Beth, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's fun to be here.
Absolutely. Now, most business owners and business leaders who listen to this show know what a Chamber of Commerce is, but what is unique and special about the Southwest Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce?
We are a more concentrated area. The Gwinnett County is so vast that it became apparent several years ago that it made sense to have a chamber local, that we focus primarily on Peachtree Corners, Norcross, and Berkeley Lake. So the county's vast, and professionals want to be able to attend after-work events.
So it has nothing to do with you hating the northeast corner of Gwinnett County.
Not at all.
We don't hate those
We
guys.
love all corners.
We
of
love
Gwinnett
all
County.
the corners, but I think more
But
specific.
traffic-wise, if you want to attend an event,
you go.
You want it nearby.
Right.
You want it with a bunch of folks that you can share borders with in terms of maybe even the walls, right? In the same building, or at least some of the same location, the
Yes.
area. And when did that when did it pop up to where you said, you know what, I think I've got an idea here. Let's do something about it.
We were formed almost 12 years ago. So, yeah. And this, enables, professionals to have networking events close by, bring speakers in that they get to hear.
So let's talk about the calendar, because I think the first thing people think about with the chamber is, okay, what are the events? How often can I go? Are they gonna just fill up my calendar with a plethora, ooh, nice word, of events, or is it going to be just the right number? Harper, while Harper looks up plethora on his phone, you tell us about kind of the regularly occurring events on the chamber calendar for Southwest Gwinnett.
Well, we typically have some sort of networking opportunity every week. Usually it's on Thursdays. Sometimes this will be just a casual networking event we call Coffee Connections. Sometimes we have a spotlight at Coffee Connections and bring in somebody to add a little extra information. So people come in and they're not just networking, getting to know people, they learn something. We also, once a month, we have a breakfast event. We've been doing that for years, and the speakers we have, I think, is what has been made our chamber notable. We've had a steady stream of valuable speakers through the years. We bring in federal, state, and local leaders, legislators. We had the Public Service Commissioner, Lieutenant Governor, State Labor Commissioner, all these different government entities where people can come in locally and meet them.
So a networking event every week, at least one, and then at least once a month you have this breakfast, which of course is another networking event, but
Right.
the speakers that you have. And so you've kind of talked about the type of speakers, but and a lot of those are kind of dignitaries, the ones you listed, rightly so.
Right.
What kind of content? Is it a learning environment? Is it going to be more of a, obviously when you have political speakers come in, they're going to talk about issues. They're going to talk about things they're going for. What other content might people hear from a speaker that might come to the breakfast beyond just kind of updating what's going on? Is it a chance to learn? Is it a chance to?
Absolutely. I want every event we have not to be just a networking opportunity, thinking about expanding their network, but broadening their understanding of a topic. We've been fortunate to have CEOs who have been able to explain how they've led and demonstrated commitment to creating positive company cultures. This would be major construction companies like Choke Construction. We had Matt Brewer, their CEO, Hershen Family Entertainment, Andrew Wexler. Great stories to tell about how they built their company culture. So I definitely hope people come in and they learn something. We bring in economists. We've had economists from Georgia Tech, from Emory, especially to come in and make sense of the numbers for those of us who aren't coming at it with finance degrees, but need to understand the numbers. And I will say the same thing went for, say, the State Labor Commissioner. We thought, oh, this is going to be a lot of numbers. Who's going to understand it? But people loved it because they were able to get up there and present these numbers in a way that people could learn about them. People could really understand what they meant, what the statistics meant. I was delighted one time we had the first female CEO and president of the College Football Hall of Fame, Kim Bowden. We were so happy to bring her in. She had a great story to tell because she was the first female, and she also took the helm right before the pandemic hit. So it was a tough road for her. We were able to also bring in surprise guests with her, beloved UGA football coach Mark Richt. So we try to interject some fun and entertainment in our events. We bring in successful entrepreneurs too, and talk about business topics that people need to be aware of. Lately, we had a speaker on tort reform, on changes in employment law, things that happen in the legislature.
So you're thinking ahead. You're thinking, what can I do? Can I place a bet on Georgia this next week because Mark Richt's going to give me some inside information, right? The sky is falling economically, or the sky is going to be wide open and clear. Right. We get all that information. So part of what you do in planning is say, well, what would I like to see and hear, and obviously what our guests would like to see and hear as well. Yeah. And keeping a wide variety going like that. Now, how does that, for you specifically, are you the only one that does the planning like that? Or do you ask around? Do you talk to some businesses and say, hey, what would you like to see? And are you open to other ideas?
Definitely ask around. I'm always continually telling people, who do you want to see? What do you want to learn about? What do you think we should be talking about here? Bring me ideas. I have great board members who are always contributing. People, hey, let's bring in this person. This person has a great story to tell. So it's definitely a team effort in that way.
Well, Stephen is a tech guy, so he'd probably want Bobby Ross, or he'd want Bobby Dodd. Let's get Bobby Dodd or someone in the family.
Are we having a seance?
Yes, we want to bring Bobby Dodd's family to come back and talk about tech, just so you can have a reason for you to go.
Sure.
We'd love for you to be there.
George O'Leary, Bobby Cremens. Brian Oliver. He's on the Hawkesbury.
Anyway. Now you're going different sports. Well, I'm just going to stick with football right now.
All right.
That's what Beth was talking about.
We're speaking of Beth, we're speaking with Beth Coffey. She is the executive director of the Southwest Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce. Beth, I'm going to ask you a potentially tough question. Little
she
tough.
said softball only questions.
Yeah, that's true. But she's the executive director. She can handle it.
Handle
it. So there's a running joke. There's a running deal. I'm allowed to ask one stupid question every show. It's been a while since somebody has said on or off air that it was a stupid question.
He breaks the rules all the time.
Yes.
Several.
So when it comes to chambers of commerce, I started the interview by saying most business owners and business leaders know what a chamber is. They've been around a chamber. Chambers of commerce at times get a little bit of pushback between small business and large business. I'm a small business. I'm a one-person operation. I have less than 5 employees. And when I joined this particular chamber or that particular chamber, it was very clear that the small business stay over here. This is only the spot that the big, large business can come in. And so how do the large business and small businesses interact in your chamber? Is it that do you guys feel like you have a good size and there's some good interaction between the two? Because they can learn from each other. They can benefit each other. So talk about that relationship between large and small business in your chamber.
Definitely there is not that separation where we are. I think for the size we are, it's a great thing. It's an advantage because everyone is together. And for one example, our chamber events are more modest size. So when we bring in the state labor commissioner, or if it's Mark Ricks, or if it's a company CEO, you'll get a chance to meet that person.
Yeah.
If you go to a larger event, we love the larger chambers. They do great things too. But you're one of 200 people in the room.
Right.
But our events are smaller, more intimate, so those small business leaders have a chance to actually meet someone that maybe they wouldn't meet unless they actually went down to the Gold Dome.
And part of the reason is because, and we joked about it, the Southwest, so, we don't dislike the Northeast and the Northwest and the other corners, but yeah, it's Berkeley, Lake, Norcross, and Peachtree Corners. So specifically with that in mind, and that was the reason I kind of couched that question the way I did, because in your area, there's some pretty large footprints of some pretty large corporations. So speak to those larger businesses. Why would they want to come support the Southwest Gwinnett Chamber and become members if they're not already members?
Well, while larger companies may not need any additional visibility, but many of them choose to be a member because they see the value and the content that we bring locally. And they want to help us keep that content coming, keep those opportunities coming. And it illustrates how they want to be a part of the community. They're giving back to their community by supporting the local chamber, being a member of the local chamber. And also these smaller businesses that make up the other parts of the chamber are often their customers, their clients. So it's good for their business.
Talk about growth. I have an interesting perspective in terms of there might be a fear or intimidation for some people because they may not be from the area, they may not be from the county, they may not be from the state, they may not be from the country, they may not even speak English as a first language. Is there an inhibition that you would see a lot of people going, I don't know if I could be a member, this isn't the right time for me? Where you would say, no, this is a great time for you to meet some of the other folks that might have similar stories or share in a business relationship that can be developed because of your relationship with the chamber.
I am always delighted when people come up to me, having come to a networking event, knowing no one, and afterwards saying, you know what, it was so genuine, it was so warm and welcoming. And this will be people from different walks of life. They may be small entrepreneurs, they may be from a larger company, they may not be from the area, they may be brand new in Georgia. So I'm always delighted, and I owe that a lot to our regular members and attendees who help create that culture where it's easygoing networking, it's not cliquish. That would be the thing that would make me the most sad if someone said, oh, it's cliquish there.
Yeah, I would imagine if you're from, let's say, the Shenandoah Valley or somewhere in Virginia, and you move down here and you go, I don't know how to make contact with anybody. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
Well, I came down here many decades ago, so lots has changed around Georgia.
When did you get here in Atlanta?
I don't know if I can say that.
You can't?
That's an old number.
Well, I got here in 91, and I knew back then that there were...
before then.
Are you really?
Was the Westin built by the time you got here?
Downtown?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we know. You said 91. I know when the Westin was built. So I've got about a 10,
and I worked
15
downtown
year.
originally those first few years.
Nice.
Walked past the Westin,
Yeah.
Well, I'm still, Fulton County was in its last year, and they were just getting ready to build Turner Field, so to speak, and the Olympics and all that kind of stuff. Remember the big sign by the MARTA station there, by the turf where it's 185 days till the Olympics, and it went from I liked when it went from over 1,000 days to the 900 and whatever it was. I remember
999 would be the first one.
But I don't remember seeing 999. I saw 900.
Right.
But that's so long away. Next thing you know, the Olympics are here. I mean, Atlanta's changed quite a bit in the few days that you've been here.
That was exciting times. Yeah, definitely. And to that point, we often bring in people in the sports arena because there's that
excitement. Because you should.
Well, there's that excitement, and there's the economic impact that it has. So I think you probably heard recently Dan Corso mentioned in the news. He's responsible for helping get the Super Bowl coming to Atlanta in 28. Well, we had Dan Corso. He's the president of the Atlanta Sports Council, and Stan Hall, CEO here of Gas South. Mm-hmm. Together, they came to speak with us about a year ago and just tell us about all the pieces that have to come together, the civic and business community, to court those huge sporting events that are good for our economy.
They have to have answers. to Roger Goodell. Before he even asks the question, they have to deliver the answers. This is what
right.
we're going to do, and if there's a problem, we've already foreseen how we're going to handle it, so it's not a problem. I mean, seriously, there's a very, like the Olympics, a pitch that you have to give. You have to have the money in place. You have to have the venue in place. You have to have all the networking in place. The networks themselves, the television, media, everything has to be answered before you even go up and give your presentation.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right.
But glad we got it, though. Another Super Bowl for Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So, Beth, I want to ask you for those people. Berkeley Lake, Norcross, Peachtree Corners, that is right in the Southwest Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce's wheelhouse. I would imagine some of the surrounding areas, people who want to also do business in those areas should think about becoming members.
Absolutely.
And what, apart from the weekly networking and the monthly breakfast, how do people get the most out of their membership? Those are clearly the two most important things. Is there anything we left out that people need to do to take advantage? Is there things you guys do to give back to the community? Are there special events you do through the year?
Well, I will say we do bring in a wide variety of topics to educate people, including on nonprofit entities. We brought in speakers on hard topics like sex trafficking, the opioid crisis, Autism Acceptance Month, law enforcement, and how they were partnering with tech companies to create safer environments. So I think my point in saying that is I think those who get the most out of chamber involvement are those who are still curious. Professionals and community leaders who are still curious and they find value in learning about what's happening in the communities locally and statewide. Those who want to know about the changing services and resources, who want to know where they can plug in and where they can send referrals. So, I mean, I want to say people, be curious.
Not judgmental.
Yeah,
if I can quote Ted Lasso, that's good. I like that.
Right.
So where do people need to go? I think people. I like that. So there's a weekly event to help build your business. There's a monthly event to help build your knowledge, continue to make other relationships, and hear from people you wouldn't normally hear from in a very personal setting. Where do people go? What information people need to have in order to become a member of the Southwest Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce?
Well, we hope you go to the website, southwestgwinnettchamber.com. You can also add your email address there so we can keep up to weekly events, whether you're a member yet or not. And of course, I say a member yet. And also the usual social media platforms.
Absolutely. Does the networking event happen at the same location or does it rotate around?
It rotates a little
Okay,
bit. So I
good.
always encourage people to check out the website,
Yep.
follow us
Get
on
the
social
calendar.
media.
Yeah,
Get
absolutely.
the calendar.
SouthwestGwinnettChamber.com. Beth Coffey, the executive director. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Harper.
Do you have good donuts? Do you have good donuts? Yes, that's a yes or no.
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Of
All right,
course you
yes.
do. We had Lee Haney on a couple weeks ago, and so we want to have whole grain donuts as well. We're going to have those.
High fiber,
That would be in the good
high
category.
fiber
Well-
donuts, brand donuts. That's not a donut.
It's not a donut if it has bran in it, but it's a bran donut. I guess you could do that. Would you put just enough sugar on it to make it a donut? Because I love donuts.
The look, and Beth did such a great job. The look in her face when you asked,
Yeah.
you have good donuts.
Way out of left field. Wait a second. The donuts?
What have I done?
I don't know.
We'll edit that out.
Well, here at the Gas South District, we love Subaru of Gwinnett, and they love donuts.
Amen,
And
brother.
so do we. And we love Subaru. So you can enjoy the big savings and the hassle-free experience at Subaru of Gwinnett, where people sell cars. You can visit SubaruofGwinnett.com. Don't forget the .com. You can join their family today. You can come in and see the distance.
I've made an impact on your life.
I know you did. Don't forget the dash, all right? Hey, if you're already a Subaruist, then you can check out their Facebook page for the latest news, offers, and community events. You can find them actually at their location at 2950 Satellite Boulevard in Duluth. They're just 2 blocks north of the Gwinnett Place Mall. They've got 250 cars on the lot, and some of them are the ones that it might be one that you want to take home. The Impreza, the Legacy, the Forester, the BRX, which is what Steven's going to get in one of these days, and he is going to take it. You'll love the difference at Subaru of Gwinnett.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons I love doing shows with Harper LaBelle is when he says 250 cars on the lot, on the way in this morning, he stopped and he counted all the cars. Well done. I appreciate
That's why I was late getting in here.
That's exactly right. You know what else I love? This is the first time I've been doing this show a long time.
Wait a second. I didn't ask you what you loved. So what else do you love? That's a preclusionary question where I haven't even asked you what you love yet. Hey, Stephen, what do you love?
Well, apart from Subaru, because I love Subaru, and it's what makes a Subaru. I also love that for the first time, I've been doing this show a long time. For the first time, I get to read a disclaimer before our guest comes on. I'm so excited.
Do you have to disclaim reading the disclaimer?
And I've been
did that?
I've been trying to decide how to do this. So first of all, our guest is Ray Godleski. He is a certified financial planner with Southeast Wealth Partners, powered by Osaic Wealth. This disclaimer does not come from Ray. It comes from the company behind Ray, and it's very important. I've just been trying to debate whether I do it in the fast FedEx guy voice or I do it in my, deepest narrator voice or just.
Ooh, you want to do your James Earl Jones?
And Mike is going to get on and. So
Mike's just saying, read the doggone thing.
Just read.
So somewhere someone is doing Monty Python where they go, get on with it. So, all right. Yeah, Mike came in the show. We got him on the show. Okay. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth, member FINRA SPIC. Osaic Wealth is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic Wealth. The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of Business RadioX or Gwinnett Business Radio and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risk, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Speaking of individual professional advice, I am excited that Ray Godleski is here in the studio. Ray, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. Could you have read that? Sure you could. You can recite that in your sleep. Let's not talk about disclaimers. Let's talk about your job. You're a certified financial planner. Tell everybody what a certified financial planner does and what you do specifically for your clients.
Yes, so do a lot of financial planning with the clients, and what we try to do is get a snapshot of where you're at. So that has to do with assets, liabilities, cash flow, and then we try to figure out what are your goals, and so we plan out how to get from where you're at to where you're trying to go, and we cover all types of areas, right? We're going to get into estate planning, we're going to get into investing, we get into protection, such as certain insurances. So it's very comprehensive, and it's very goals-based.
Simon Sinek wrote a very famous book called Start With Why. I want to kind of use that question and go kind of start with, why are you in this business? Why are you doing what you do?
Yeah, so as far as why I'm in this business, what I've found is, first of all, financial planning isn't really taught in schools very much. And when it comes to before social media got to be a big deal, there's a lot of noise out there on the, quote, internet. And now it's gotten worse with TikToks and things like that. So I think there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of noise. I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad advice out there, but there's just a lot of things out there.
Are you saying everybody that appears on TikTok giving investment advice might not be the most qualified to give that advice?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So when you're talking with somebody, it might be good just to check them out. Yeah. If you're looking for a source, brokercheck.org is not a bad one, right? You can go there. It's it's third party, run by FINRA, so it's not biased, if you will. So yeah, that was the reason why was I really wanted to be able to communicate with people on how do you get to where you're trying to go. And so we focus on usually 3 C's. One of those, like I mentioned, is clarity. Where are you at? Where are you trying to go? Second one's communication. And what I found is a lot of times people want to be communicated in different ways. Some people want to see pie charts, spreadsheets. Other people want to see whiteboards. Other people are audio learners, right? So really try to figure out where that is. And then the third piece is really confidence. And so some people have overconfidence, some people have no confidence. I try to bring a little bit of balance to that, and because you need to have the confidence to take action. Sometimes if you don't take action, that can be a problem.
So I think something you pointed out is kind of interesting. I think there's this perception in the financial planning world that other planners might be like, this is my process, and if you want to work with me, you have to follow my process. It sounds like, especially in some of the things of communication and confidence, you're saying, no, I want to meet you where you're at, and I'm going to kind of tailor how I present what I do or how we work together to kind of fit more of how the client is rather than how you are. Did I get that right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
What's been your response to that? What are some? I mean, I would imagine there have been some clients have been like, really, you're kind of meeting me in the middle, or you're tailoring how you communicate with me. Talk a little bit about some of the client responses you've had.
Sure. So some people get a little bit shy about where they're at, and I've even heard people come from another office before, and they said that other person made them feel stupid. And so that kind of sat with me. I never want that to happen to anybody. I can tell you from a personal experience, I was in the corporate world, had a 401k, did a rollover, and so I had an advisor, and they just did asset allocation, and it was okay, but it felt very disjointed. So that was one of the reasons, the why, right? I got into it, is I really wanted to be kind of I'm the go-to person, right? The buck stops with me. Over the years, I've collaborated with lots of people kind of behind the scenes to get stuff done, but we want to be comprehensive, so that whether that's life insurance, whether that's investments, whether that's retirement accounts, we try to be the kind of the go-to person, right? The client is the owner of the team. We're the general manager, and sometimes there may need to be a replacement, right? Maybe it is a CPA. Maybe they don't have a CPA and they need one, or maybe they don't have an estate plan yet. Let's get that attorney involved.
So business and personal, right? You're trying to help accumulate wealth for the individual that says, you know what, I don't know where I am right now, and I don't know where I want to be. I just know I want to have more. You help to clarify that. You mentioned that as one of the C's. Tell me how much you need. Real quick, many years ago, I was working in a different business, and I spoke to one of the individuals that was working there, and I said, if you had $1 million, would you be set for life? He goes, man, would I? And then I said, after you calculate the taxes and you do all that, you're going to pay off your house, you can do some other things, you're only going to have about $150,000 left over. Is that enough for you? He goes, holy cow, I need $2 million. And then we calculated that. It was pretty much about 4 or 5 where he says, now I can go vacation wherever I want to and not worry about money for the rest of my life. You change, you develop, you have inflation and other factors that terminate or can terminate your initial plan. You help to bring that back to life, correct? That's what you're trying to do, is say, where do you want to be and how can I help you get there, correct?
Correct, yes.
When did you start that plan for yourself? You were, this is something that I don't not only have a passion for, but I'm going to be really good at this. I'm going to help people out. How did that happen for you?
Yeah, so from being licensed and an advisor, getting into this industry, the light bulb moment was 2014. That's when I did most of my licenses, became a fiduciary financial advisor. And I can tell you from a, quote, sweet spot standpoint, people in their 60s, that is an area that I feel like our firm is really excelling with, and a lot of mistakes can happen there. It's very confusing for folks, when it comes to, wait, what is a Medicare surcharge, and when should I do it if I'm still working, and what about my Social Security? Wait, that's taxable? So there's just a lot of nuances there when it comes to planning, and so we put a lot of emphasis on whatever you got. Whether you feel like you have a little or whether you have a lot, we want to make the most of what you have. And so that doesn't mean we only work with folks in their 60s. That just means for folks that aren't there yet, they're in their 40s and 50s, we can help put you in a really good position so that when you get older in life, you've got chess pieces on the board to be able to move, because you mentioned $1 million. Well, where is that $1 million? Is it $1 million in a retirement account that's going to be taxed later? Or is it some of it's in a Roth, some of it might be in savings? So it's really important to know, where are your assets? How are they going to be taxed later?
So education is a critical component, because you mentioned, we don't learn a lot about that in school. I remember when I was in high school, we learned how to write a check.
Yeah.
I mean, how simple it was. As a 17, 16-year-old kid, no one knew how to do it. We didn't have any money. We didn't.
And now we've come full circle, and they don't teach it anymore.
Well, now no one writes a check.
Right.
Buy Kodak, right? Buy Radio Shack. It's a Tandy company. We don't do that anymore. But education changes, because now we're going, here's how you use this plastic card that has a chip in it, and you better be careful about who you let use this thing, because all of your data and information, if it gets in somebody else's hands, we have to protect you from that, as well as how to learn how to use this without spending more than what you've got in the bank right now. Right? Mm-hmm. Education is a key part of that. So do you find at 65, 60 somewhere, you're re-educating people? No. This is the tax implication. We got to talk about this, right? That's a part of what you do every day.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Almost in any conversation, especially as a starting point, we're going to get into a little bit of the tax code, look at those brackets, look at those rates, and just really kind of educate them on that. When it comes to the financial planning software we use, it usually kind of gets the job done. It allows there to be conversations, and because we can look at not just pie charts and bar graphs and spreadsheets, right? But also just like I said, we get on to the whiteboard to educate as far as how do we get a point across, right? And so a lot of times people are visual learners, and if we can just educate them in a visual way, a lot of times, like I said, going back to a whiteboard, then they can kind of understand. And for couples especially, oftentimes one learns differently than the other. One's more interested than the other. I think it's really important to be able to get both people engaged when there are two people involved. Make sure they both understand at least at a high level so that they can just understand what it is they're trying to do. Because I always say, the starting point is, well, what do you already have in place? What do you own? And have a better understanding of what you own. Because most people that I meet, they have something in their financial junk drawer, if you will, and they may not even know what it does or really understand it, and I'll help them understand it.
I got this thing when I worked here, and I'm not sure what it is. I think it's options or something. We're speaking with Ray Godleski. He's a certified financial planner with Southeast Wealth Partners. And by the way, totally for comedic purposes, but just to make sure we dot every I and cross every T, it was Harper who verbally said by Radio Shack and by Kodak. It was not Ray. And thank you for letting us have a little fun with the disclaimer before you came on the air. But there was one part of that disclaimer that I think is very important that I want to point out, and that is that you are independent. You are an independent advisor. So talk a little bit about being a certified financial planner. I think that's something that gets thrown around, and people ask about that and not really know what that means. And without getting too lost in the weeds, and without, I kind of know you. I don't think you'll pat yourself on the back too much, but there's another level to being a CFP, and there's a very different level to being independent in the financial advisory world. So talk about that, your choice of being independent. Why did you do that? And then I'll circle back to the CFP real quick.
Okay. Great. So yeah, independent. So being at Osaic Wealth, they're an independent broker dealer, and it's been a great spot to be at. They got the tech stack, they got the compliance department, and making sure everything is suitable, things like that. But being independent, I'm no longer working somewhere that might be owned by an insurance company, or maybe they're owned by a bank. Oftentimes, when you're in those environments, they may feel or say they're independent, and that's okay. But oftentimes, kind of there's these undercurrents of trying to make sure that certain things are promoted over others, or it may be harder to do business. So I love being independent, because when it comes to strategies and solutions, we figure that out first, and then if there's a product or a certain investment, we kind of put that in there.
So doing this for 10 years, I don't know where you started, but being able to go to Osaic was a business decision on your part that was a benefit to you because you felt it benefited your clients. In truly being independent, I mean, there's no more independent than being with a firm that never tells you any kind of guidance, legal, all legal, right? These things you're talking about, banks and insurance companies, they're not doing anything illegal, but hey, they've got products, and maybe there's ways that they want you to sell those products. So you are truly independent, and that's for your clients, correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's
all right,
correct.
so let's go to the CFP for a second. So a certified financial planner, there's a whole nother level in terms of being an advisor, being someone on TikTok telling people to buy XYZ, these sports cards will go up in value, whatever it is. Talk a little bit about being a CFP and just kind of what that means, what you had to go through, and what that means when you sit across from a client that might be different from who they were sitting across from before.
Correct. Yeah, so going through the CFP program, there's a lot of education that you have to go through. You go through a bunch of courses. I went through it a couple years ago. I did it during the weekends. I did it at night. I kept working full time because I still had clients, right?
You had to eat.
Right. Yeah, that was just from an internal standpoint, I wanted to make sure that I was doing best for my existing clients, right? And so I did it at night and over the weekends. And so doing that over, I don't remember how long it took, but it took quite a while to go through all these different courses. You got to pass exams along the way. And at the very end, what we find out is you got to take an actual exam and you have to pass it. And so, I was a little bit nervous about that, but thankfully I was able to take it the first time and pass it. And not only that, as a certified financial planner, you got to continue to taking continuing education to keep that designation and to keep it out there. And it's a great resource. So as advanced planning topics come up, I'm able to kind of utilize that network and get answers for clients. So not everybody has that designations. I don't remember the numbers. I feel like it's around 10% of financial advisors have it. It could be more or less now. I don't know, but I'm proud to have it. Some people get it and then they drop it. Nothing wrong with that, but I plan to keep it.
Years ago, I was given my bright light moment. Brad Edwards was a teammate of mine when I was with the Falcons, and Brad had gotten involved in some financial planning, and he had his laptop. We were roommates during training camp, so he's sitting on his side of the bed, and I'm over on a different part of the room, and I say to him, "What are you doing, Brad? What are you studying?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm just looking at some different mutual funds." And on this chart, there were hundreds of little dots, little blue and red dots that were on it. And I go, "Well, what for example, is that one dot right there? It's kind of purple." He goes, "Okay, so these are thousands of different available products that are out there, and the one that you want me to find is one of many in a big clump of many. But there's some that are over here, over on the right-hand side, that are performing better. Those are the ones that I'm interested in. Why?" That as an independent agent, you have the ability to look at the other one, not just what one company says that you need to buy. You can find one that could be that very same company, but it's better than what others are. I'm sure you see stuff like that all the time, and you're able to offer these different solutions or products or just financial a gain that someone might have that they wouldn't know otherwise. Correct? You see stuff all the time.
Correct.
This is X plus. This is better than what you are already in. Is it hard to get people to switch?
No, and it's nice to be able to offer so many different securities. For some people, it could be a mutual fund. You mentioned mutual fund. Other folks, that may be ETFs, and other folks, that might be individual securities. You can have individual stocks, individual bonds, even private investments. That seems to be a trend that's happening. Used to be you had to be, a qualified client or qualified purchaser to be able to even get into that. But what I'm seeing from a trend standpoint is accredited investors are getting more involved in private investments. So it was important when I came here that I was able to offer that. The previous broker-dealer I was at, this was not an option. And so, I love the fact that we can be creative and be able to get invested in so many different ways. And then I educate people, well, what's the difference between a mutual fund and an ETF? And why would you have one in a retirement account? And why would you have one in a taxable account?
Yeah, of course, the tax implications. So what's a range? If somebody has $1,000, if they've got $100 million, anywhere in between, where would they want to come and see you and your availability?
In between would be about $49.5 million, I think. So that's the median of his range.
Read the disclaimer again. Yeah. We're just throwing things out there right now. Who are the folks that you want to visit with?
Correct.
Everybody.
So I really wouldn't say it's a particular amount of people. It's really about being serious and about, hey, I want to improve. So we don't have ceilings, if you will, right? Somebody's got 5 million, come on, right? But don't
that 100 million.
Yeah.
If you could find that 100 million.
Right. That's fine. But no, there's no real entry point where you have to have X amount of dollars. I will say, oftentimes, most people that we do work with, though, they're going to be somewhere in the 500K to in the 1 to 2 million, but we do work with folks. They got 100,000, they got 250. We will work with those folks, just like our clients. They may have grown kids, and they just may want to do a financial plan. They don't have any assets, and they just want to, pay for a financial plan. We can do that.
And the initial consultation, there's an initial discovery. Talk a little bit where does it start? What do people need? How do they take that first step? And what would that first step look like?
So we do complimentary consultations, right? So we have an office. We got a couple different offices, one right here in Swanee. But a lot of people these days are going to Zoom, right? Thank you, pandemic. That kind of helped accelerate that to happening. Even existing clients are doing Zoom appointments sometimes. So you can always go to the website, which is this the cue for that?
Sure,
All
if
right.
you want it to be.
Yeah,
I do. I may have one other follow-up
okay.
question, but go ahead. Yeah.
So I'll just take you. Just go to our website and go ahead and set up an appointment. We have a link right there to set it up. It's got a couple of just general questions there. What is it that you want to talk about? But yeah, we do a complimentary consultation, and in that meeting, we talk about, well, what are the services that we offer? We get a feel for where are you at, and try to see what might be the best kind of plan, if you will, for you.
And what's the website?
So that would be www.southeastwealthpartners.com.
You also, there's a website, yournextstepfinancial.com. That's a little more educational. There's some videos on that as well.
Yeah, that just happened to be the first one, which
Yeah.
is yournextstepfinancial.com. So that is still the same.
So Southeast Wealth Partners is where we want to go.
Yeah,
All
either
right.
one of those.
Would you take anyone from the Southwest Chamber of Commerce?
Absolutely.
I noticed. Did y'all do that on purpose? That's
Yeah.
pretty funny. Yeah.
So, so the other thing I was going to ask is, you are able to help people outside the local area because of Zoom and
Right.
because of other things. So, someone listening to this who lives in another state, there's a potential they could work with you as well. Correct?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when it comes to securities, I do that in a lot of states. You go out as far as Arizona, go to Florida, New York, places like that.
So, Ray Godleski, Southeast Wealth Partners. Thank you so much for being here today.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, I want to remind everybody that Gwinnett Business Radio is brought to you by Regions Bank. We all know keeping your company's financial future on track means having the right resources to support your growth. Regions Commercial Banking offers you lending capabilities and strategic solutions tailored to your needs, and you'll work with a team of experienced bankers here in Gwinnett. Discover steps to take that can help move you closer to your business goals. Regions is here to help. I'm trying to do this without tearing up, because I had such an impact on Harper's life. To learn more, visit regions.com/commercial-banking. Don't forget the dash. Regions Bank,
Member.
FDIC.
What's the other? FDIP? What was the other one?
No,
that you read?
FINRA, SPIC.
SPIC. Member. SPIC.
SPIC
Yeah,
and
that's
FINRA,
wrong. That's
Financial
wrong.
Regulation Authority.
Different read.
Absolutely. So now
is when Mike gets even madder
Now
at
we
us.
play the game of chicken, because if we talk too long, he'll start the music.
Yeah.
And I actually thought would it reach a point.
Did you hear him get all huffy when he came on?
He
just
did.
read
read the disclaimer.
Read the
Listen,
thing.
all I know is I'm going to my dear diary. Tonight was the night. Today was the day that Harper LaBelle whispered, "Don't forget the dash."
Don't forget the dash.
And we all know that we love donuts. I think we're going for donuts after this, right?
The
Krispy Kreme?
multi-grain donuts.
So bran, multigrain.
Well, Lee Haney had an impact on us.
Yes, he did. It was good to have that. But you know who else had an impact on us? We want to thank our guest, Beth Coffey with the Southwest Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, and Ray Godleski with Southeast Wealth Partners. Make sure to tune in next week when someone from the Northeast and Northwest will be here. We have no idea who those are, but North by Northwest.
Mike will make it happen.
That's right. For Harper and for our producer, Mike Salmon, who's going to come at us with a stick after the show. This is your slightly annoying host, Stephen Julian, saying we will catch you next time. Southeast, Southwest, Northeast, Northwest, or right in the middle here on Gwinnett Business Radio.